that she is alive and that you have her.
They see strength presented in a way that feels steady and admirable. In moments of crisis, especially when someone well-known is involved, that surface version becomes the dominant narrative. People share clips, offer prayers, and comment on resilience. What they rarely see is the layered emotional reality beneath that composure. When a family faces uncertainty, fear, and heartbreak, those emotions do not arrange themselves neatly for public viewing. They spill into private rooms, late nights, and silent prayers. The public story may look controlled and dignified. The private one is far more fragile, far more human, and often far more painful than anyone outside can fully understand. A life built over decades at 54, most people hope to be standing on solid ground they spent decades building. It is an age that often represents arrival rather than striving. For someone who has dedicated years to a demanding career, balanced family life, and carried enormous responsibility, this stage is meant to feel steady. It is a season when experience replaces uncertainty and confidence replaces doubt. Reaching 54 means having weathered professional storms, navigated personal changes, and learned who you are in the world. It is not the beginning of the climb, it is the view from near the top. That is why a sudden crisis at this stage feels especially disorienting. It interrupts what was supposed to be a period of earned calm. It shakes foundations that took years to build, and reminds even the strongest among us that no amount of success can shield a person from sudden, life-altering uncertainty. When crisis interrupts stability, when a loved one disappears or faces danger, time stops feeling normal. Days stretch and compress at the same time. A single phone call can divide life into before and after. The stability built over decades suddenly feels fragile. It does not matter how accomplished or composed someone may appear. Fear is fear. Uncertainty is uncertainty. In those moments, titles and professional achievements fade into the background. What remains is something deeply personal and primal. The bond between parent and child. The outside world may focus on logistics, investigations, or official updates. Inside the family, however, the experience is measured in heartbeats and sleepless nights. Every passing hour carries weight. Every unanswered question echoes loudly. Stability becomes something remembered rather than felt, and the future feels suspended until clarity arrives. That emotional suspension is exhausting in ways that are difficult to describe. The weight of public composure. Maintaining composure while the world is watching is a unique burden. Most people endure private pain behind closed doors, surrounded only by trusted friends or family. When a public figure faces crisis, that privacy narrows dramatically. Cameras capture expressions, words are replayed and analyzed, tone becomes a headline. In such circumstances, even grief must be organized before it is expressed. That does not mean the emotion is absent, it simply means it is managed. Holding steady in front of millions can look like extraordinary strength, and in many ways it is, but it is also draining. It requires energy at a time when energy feels scarce. It asks for clarity when thoughts are scattered. The public may interpret composure as calm confidence. In reality, it can coexist with fear, heartbreak, and vulnerability swirling just beneath the surface, unseen but very present. The medical fear no one sees. When an elderly parent faces a health crisis, fear intensifies quickly. Age alone brings fragility, but medical needs add another layer of urgency. The thought that a loved one may not have access to necessary care can become an overwhelming source of anxiety. It is not simply worry about safety, it is worry about time. Every hour feels significant. Every delay feels magnified. For a daughter or son, imagining a parent uncomfortable, frightened, or unwell is almost unbearable. It creates a constant mental loop of what-if scenarios that refuse to quiet down. Even while speaking publicly with grace, the private mind can be racing with these fears. The heart does not pause its concern simply because a statement must be delivered calmly. That silent calculation of time and health is a heavy weight to carry, especially when answers remain uncertain. Lessons learned in childhood. How a person responds to crisis is often shaped long before adulthood. Childhood lessons about strength, resilience, and responsibility become internal scripts that play automatically during stress. Many parents teach their children to stay composed, to solve problems, and to keep moving forward no matter what. Those lessons can be powerful gifts, They build confidence and capability, yet they can also create pressure. When a child learns that strength earns approval, that composure equals maturity, it can become difficult to show vulnerability later in life. The instinct to perform steadiness may override the desire to fall apart. In a crisis, those early teachings resurface. The adult who appears unshakable may actually be following a blueprint written decades earlier. It is not an act of dishonesty, it is an act of survival learned young and practiced often. The invisible internal battle. While one battle plays out publicly, another may be unfolding quietly inside. On the outside, there are statements to give and updates to manage. On the inside, there can be a much older question lingering. Am I handling this well enough? Am I being strong enough? That internal dialogue does not disappear with age or achievement. It can follow someone from childhood into midlife, whispering expectations that feel deeply personal. During a crisis, that inner voice grows louder. It may push for perfection at the very moment when rest and reassurance are most needed. Balancing the external demands of a situation with the internal demand to meet lifelong standards is exhausting. It creates two parallel struggles happening at once. One seeks resolution of events. The other seeks reassurance of worth, a reassurance that may feel just out of reach. The passage of time and uncertainty, there is something uniquely difficult about waiting without answers. Days accumulate quietly, yet each one feels monumental. When information is limited, imagination fills the gaps. Hope and fear take turns dominating the mind. The outside world continues moving, but for the family involved, everything revolves around updates, phone calls, and possibilities. 8 days can feel like 8 months when uncertainty is constant. The lack of clarity becomes its own emotional strain. It is not only about what has happened, it is about not knowing what is happening now. That limbo is hard to describe to those who have never experienced it. It is a suspended state where routine tasks feel surreal and normal. Conversations feel disconnected from reality. Time becomes both the enemy and the only path forward. Love, expectation, and the need to be enough. Parental love is rarely simple. It often comes wrapped in hopes, expectations, and dreams for a child's future. A parent may push because they believe in potential. They may emphasize strength because they want their child to succeed in a demanding world. That love can be genuine and fierce while still leaving questions in the child's heart. When approval feels connected to performance, even subtly, a quiet hunger can grow. The hunger is not for fame or professional success. It is for unconditional reassurance. For words that say you are valued not for what you accomplish, but for who you are. That longing can persist even in adulthood. It can remain beneath achievements and accolades, waiting for simple affirmation that does not depend on strength, composure, or perfection. The power of simple words. In the end, crises often reveal what matters most. Beyond public statements and professional identities, there is the timeless bond between parent and child. What many adults still long to hear from their parents are uncomplicated, unconditional words of love. Not praise for handling difficulty well, not admiration for career milestones. Just reassurance that love has never depended on performance. In moments of uncertainty, those words carry extraordinary healing power. They remind a person that beneath achievements and expectations, they are simply someone's child. Strong or shaken, composed or overwhelmed, they are enough. When families are reunited after fear and waiting, what lingers longest are not the headlines but the quiet embraces and simple sentences spoken in private rooms. Sometimes the deepest resolution is not found in public victory, but in hearing, finally and clearly, that love was always there.